Well, one of the things that I realized as a black wedding photographer that I feel is just very tragic, I do not get a lot of inquiries from white couples. Today's topic it's a good one, I like to believe. And it's one that I've been kind of wrestling with, trying to articulate in a way that everyone would understand me. I didn't really want to offend anyone, but I probably will. You probably even saw the title and got offended by this. I don't know. But either way it goes, I think this is a conversation that needs to be had. And honestly, some things that need to be said. I don't know, y'all. It's just, I think I got to the point where I'm increasingly frustrated because I understand the racism that is embedded in the DNA of the wedding industry. And I see it across different spectrums. I see it amongst photographers. I see it with planners. I see it just the lack of representation. And don't get me wrong, it's certainly gotten better over the past maybe 3 to 5 years. And I think, unfortunately, tragedies like the George Floyd situation where he was murdered and he was killed, I think it definitely opened people's eyes to putting forth an effort to stop a lot of the racial inequities and racial injustices that have been inflicted upon black people for generations. But those things kind of last as long as milk. It just doesn't age well. The efforts from allies, it's cool. And a lot of it can be seen as genuine, but it's just a passing fad. It's seen as a thing, of a trend, something that's cool and that's like a hot button thing for the moment, but slowly but surely dies out like a candle in the wind. And I've seen it, I've experienced it. As a matter of fact, I can recall during the George Floyd situation, maybe months afterwards, I started to get a lot of love and support from my fellow peers who are white. And they would share my work or recommend me. I had venues reach out and rushed to get me on their list for preferred vendors. And the unfortunate reality is, I believe it was all in the effort to not be kind of called out and exposed for the racism that they too perpetuated, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally. But I was kind of used as a pawn to kind of, oh yeah, we're safe. We have black vendors. We have like 2 black vendors on our list. There's a lot of racism in the industry, y'all. It really truly is. When you see a lot of the publications, a lot of the blogs, a lot of the bridal expos and things of that nature kind of uphold this certain look. It's a certain standard of beauty that they project as the say-all, end-all. You have your white male, your white female, you have Barbie and Ken. You kind of dress them up, dazzle them up, and that is luxury wedding. Like, this is luxury, this is elegance, this is it. And oftentimes it just falls short of being inclusive to everyone of every race and every gender. And again, it has gotten better. This is not like someone play the violins, I'm upset because things are completely left, when there has been progress made. However, it's just not enough. It's not enough. Well, one of the things that I realized as a black wedding photographer that I feel is just very tragic by all metrics, and however you want to look at it, is I do not get a lot of inquiries from white couples. One can argue, well, you pretty much are a black photographer. You attract couples who are black based off of your portfolio. And it's just interesting to me that that's the argument, because there are tons of white photographers who do not showcase black clients or black couples at all. You may see one. You may see one or two, and they actually both may be a styled shoot. And the unfortunate reality is Black people, like, we are not worried or fearful of patronizing and using white vendors at all. There's no major fear if they'll be professional, if they'll show up on time. Those stereotypes are not ingrained in our head at all. We, for the most part, want someone who can do the job. And if we feel that you can do the job, we're not kind of basing things off of a stereotype or how we feel you may be based upon your race. That's just generally speaking. Holistic, like looking at the broader picture, that's not something that we do. However, I found in my experience, and the key thing is my experience, what I've found is that white couples don't operate in the same fashion. It's a different thing. It's a worry and a doubt of, can they do this to a certain quality and standard, even if their work is great, even if the work is up to par, even if everything is equal. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's a worry, it's a fear there. Even trying to work with white planners has just been a struggle. And the one time or the few times that they do kind of reach out to me is when they have an inquiry that's a Black couple. And so you're kind of relegated to just that. And it's tough. It really is, because I never sought out to be the Black photographer. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, he's the best Black photographer, like some kind of subcategory BET. We have to, Jet magazine this because People magazine won't showcase us. But to be the best person ever showcased on Jet, it's like, yeah, I want to be showcased on Jet, on Vogue, Vanity Fair, People, US Weekly, like Vibe, like everything. Like I want to be recognized as being a good photographer. But once you insert good Black photographer, it diminishes something. Like making it a subcategory means it's not as dominant as, the song of the year. It's different from the best hip hop song of the year. But when you are in an industry which doesn't really understand and promote Black love, brown love, it's pretty hard to be recognized truly for who you are. The wedding industry is racist. And I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I know that, because like I said again, and I'm not ashamed to acknowledge that progress has been made over the years. It really has, but we have to do more. We have to be consistent. One of the things that really upsets me, or really saddens me, to be honest, as a Black photographer, is kind of how we as Black people perceive success and greatness. So there's a certain notion that you are successful and you've made it once you start to have white couples who are booking you. Once you start to have couples who don't look like us, who aren't African American, or who aren't Black, like, oh man, you made it, man. You got white couples now. Like, man, you really. It's like, no, bro. Like, I made it because I work hard and I'm good, and people who book me believe in me and they book me. Why does it have to be the person on the opposite side of the lens? If they're white, then I really made it now. Like I was, just shooting us is like, it's like whatever, like who cares really about that? It just kind of perpetuates the notion of, how Black people view themselves as entrepreneurs. Like that's the mindset for a lot of people of color, that once you start to get recognized by the white masses and start to kind of diversify your portfolio with white people, then you're it. Now you're established. Now you're a professional. Now we can understand why your price is your price. At first we couldn't. We didn't get it. But now, since you have Caucasians, it's like, wow, like that's sad. It's a sad reality that I know that there are people who love my work but did not move forward with me because I was Black. Sometimes it doesn't matter how good your work is. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it or who you were published with or what have you. Sometimes like your blackness could really be the one reason why somebody doesn't work with you. And the fact of the matter is, it is widespread in this industry. I mean, we still live in a day where people have full weddings, full fairy tale weddings on plantations where slaves were, where they were murdered, where they hung from trees, where their names and language and religion and everything was stripped away from them, where they were beaten, where they bled, where they cried. And people have cocktail hours on plantations. That still exists. That's still a thing. And it just kind of further proves how racist the wedding industry is. So I guess I really wanted to make this video. I don't care about how many likes it gets. I don't care about the negative comments that I will receive or the people who may feel as though they're offended and I'm just kind of making all this stuff up. So I just want to say what's real. I want to tell the truth. I wanted to really get this message out there because we have to do more. You know, after George Floyd 2020, it was a great year for Black people to be recognized as people. Like for the first time in my lifetime, I felt an overwhelming amount of love from other races, particularly white people, who kind of championed an effort to give us more exposure, to kind of use their white privilege to kind of project us in a light that we've never seen before. And it just kind of sizzled out. It just kind of, the flame just kind of died out. It was like, oh, Happy New Year. Okay, all right, well, back to normal. And I just feel like that effort needs to be continuous. It needs to be something that not just the wedding industry, but you know, us as people, as human beings, need to further that cause and that effort, because it's still a real thing. And it's still like, we can change laws and we can do all these other things, but at the end of the day, it's how you treat people. It's you being willing to hire a Black consultant to do your taxes, or accountant to do your taxes, or you know, hiring a Black business or a Black company to do the interior for your home, or the construction, or even a Black dentist or something of that nature. It's really gonna take not just our hearts, but our minds, and to really think about where we fit into this big picture and what we can do to change things. So I love being Black. I love it. I love being Black. I love the culture. I love the struggle. I love the trials, the tribulations, and the triumphs that we have had the opportunity to overcome. But it just takes more, man. We have to do more so people can be recognized for who they are. Like, we're people, you know, and it's a lot to carry on this Blackness. You know, it's a lot. So yeah, thank y'all for listening. You know, make sure to subs and show some love to the channel. I appreciate all the support, all the love. Let's do better.